Today we unravel the dark tale of Colombia's most notorious serial killer, Luis Garavito, also known as the Beast. Luis Garavito is infamous for his chilling and heinous crimes. He confessed to the brutal murders of over 100 children across Colombia. His actions have left an indelible mark on the nation and the world. This documentary will explore the life and crimes of Garavito, the investigation that led to his capture, and the impact his actions have had on society. Welcome to our channel, where we delve into some of the most harrowing crime stories from around the world. Luis Alfredo Garavito Cubulos was born on January 21, 1957, in Genova, Colombia. His early years were marked by extreme poverty and violence, both at home and in his community. Garavito's father was an alcoholic who often took out his frustrations on his family, subjecting them to physical and emotional abuse. His mother, overwhelmed by her circumstances, was largely absent, leaving young Luis to navigate a harsh world on his own. As a child, Garavito struggled in school, finding little solace or support from teachers or classmates. He was often bullied and ostracized, which only compounded his sense of isolation and anger. Experts believe that these early experiences of rejection and abuse played a significant role in shaping Garavito's psyche. He began to exhibit troubling behaviors such as cruelty to animals and stealing, which were early indicators of his later violent tendencies. Garavito's descent into violence began in the early 1990s. He targeted young boys, primarily from poor and vulnerable backgrounds, who were less likely to be missed by society. Garavito was methodical in his approach, often posing as a religious figure, charity worker, or even a friendly stranger. To gain the trust of his victims, he would offer them food, money, or work, and lure them to secluded areas where he could carry out his heinous acts undisturbed. Garavito's crimes were characterized by extreme brutality. He would bind his victims, subject them to prolonged torture, and then mutilate their bodies before finally killing them. His meticulous nature was evident in the way he documented each crime, keeping detailed notes and mementos from his victims. These trophies served as reminders of his control and power, feeding his pathological need for dominance. Over several years, Garavito embarked on a killing spree that claimed the lives of over 100 boys. Each murder followed a chillingly similar pattern. He would stalk his prey, gain their trust, and then strike with ruthless efficiency. The timeline of his murders reveals a man driven by an insatiable compulsion to kill, with the intervals between his crimes growing shorter as his bloodlust intensified. Notable cases include the murder of a young boy in Pereira, whose body was found with evidence of severe torture, and the case of a child in Tunja, whose remains were discovered in a makeshift grave. Garavito's victims ranged in age from 6 to 16, and he showed no mercy. Regardless of their pleas or cries for help, the psychological impact on the families and communities of these children was devastating, creating a pervasive atmosphere of fear and grief. Despite numerous reports of missing children, the investigation into Garavito's crimes was initially slow. The lack of resources and coordination among various police departments hindered progress. However, a breakthrough came in 1999 when a farmer discovered a mass grave containing the remains of several boys. This gruesome discovery triggered a nationwide investigation, with authorities pooling their resources to track down the elusive killer. Garavito's capture was the result of diligent police work and a bit of luck. He was arrested in April 1999 in the town of Villavicencio, after a local policeman recognized him from a composite sketch. During interrogation, Garavito confessed to his crimes in chilling detail. Providing investigators with a comprehensive account of his methods and motivations. His confessions were corroborated by the evidence found at the crime scenes, including his personal notes and trophies from his victim. Garavito's trial was one of the most high-profile cases in Colombia's history. The public and media were captivated by the sheer scale of his crimes and the monstrosity of his actions. During the trial, forensic experts and psychologists testified about Garavito's mental state, offering insights into the mind of a serial killer. Despite his confessions, Garavito showed little remorse, often appearing detached and indifferent to the suffering he had caused. In 2001, Garavito was convicted of the murders of 138 boys and sentenced to 1853 years and 9 days in prison. However, due to Colombian law, which limits the maximum sentence to 40 years, his actual time in prison was significantly reduced. This sparked outrage among the victims' families and the general public, who felt that justice had not been fully served. The case also prompted discussions about the need for legal reforms to address crimes of such magnitude. The impact of Garavito's crimes on Colombian society cannot be overstated. The families of his victims were left to grapple with immense grief and trauma, often receiving little to no support from the government. Communities across the country were shaken, and the fear of child abductions and murders became a persistent concern. Garavito's case also led to significant changes in Colombia's legal and child protection systems. Efforts were made to improve the tracking and reporting of missing children, and harsher penalties for crimes against minors were proposed. Despite these measures, the scars left by Garavito's crimes remain, serving as a grim reminder of the horrors that can lurk within society. As we reflect on the case of Luis Garavito, it is important to remember the innocent lives that were lost and the families that continue to suffer. Garavito's story is a stark reminder of the capacity for evil that exists in the world, and the importance of vigilance in protecting our most vulnerable members of society. It is also a testament to the resilience of those who continue to fight for justice and the memory of the victims. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the life and crimes of Luis Garavito. We hope that by shedding light on these dark chapters of history, we can honor the victims and contribute to a safer future for all. I hope this version adds the right level of suspense and engagement for your documentary.